Welcome to episode 9 of Guardia Di Medicina. Today we're kind of breaking out of our normal mode here. We're having our first guest on and we're very excited. It's our good friend from college, J.R. Harvey. J.R. is very successful. I would like for him to take some time to introduce himself and what he does and what he stands for.
Yep. So thanks for having me. First off, it's really cool to be here hanging with you guys.
It's an absolute
Absolutely,
pleasure.
yeah.
It's been too long since we've been able to hang out. This is awesome.
That's what happens. We all get old. We
It's
get
too old.
wives. We get families. We get careers. And then before you know it, it's been 10 years since we've seen each
I
It's
know,
other.
literally
I know,
10
it's
years. I
nuts.
know. I know.
But yeah, for everybody that's listening, my name's J.R. Harvey. I run a men's group called King's Community. We have about 20,000 guys inside of our Discord community now. I started making content about men's mental health about 4 or 5 years ago, just within an effort to like spread awareness and talk about my own story and the things that I had gone through. And it resonated with millions of guys. Like all of a sudden, overnight, I went from, in the beginning when I was making social media videos, I was like, I know about entrepreneurship and business and sales and marketing. I'm really good at that stuff and I'm super into that stuff. So I was making content about that. And it did well. I had like 100,000 followers and I was selling a program and like starting to make money and pay back all the debt that I had to figure out how to make videos and start a business. And then all of a sudden that account got banned and taken away from me.
Why was that? Why did it get banned?
I don't know.
Wow, what
Didn't
a
have to give you
shame.
any explanation at all. They just said, tough. Good luck.
That you just get a notification. You go to open up your phone and it's like your account has been disabled.
That is horrific. How many months had you put in before you got banned for the first time?
Around 3 to 6 months.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's got to be incredibly frustrating.
It was incredibly frustrating is a great way. Like demeaning, demoralizing. You're just like, man, through no fault of mine, I have no idea what I did wrong. As far as I know, I did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Right. And I just got this thing to a point where I broke even and I was going to finally start
Oh
making
my
money.
God.
And in my mind, all I was thinking the whole time was like, this is my thing now. Like I found something that actually works. Like I'm making money. I have a real business. I finally found something after like trying and failing and searching for years. It's like, this is going to be it. And then you wake up to that notification.
That's horrific. I can't even imagine how it would feel to essentially have your career in place and get it all stripped away. But what's even more impressive that just came across my mind, I don't know how you think about this, because we're 5 episodes deep into this thing. Well, now at the time of filming this, we'll be 9 episodes deep into this thing. I can't imagine having that much of a following, building it up from scratch, and then having to do it again. What was that like?
It was a challenge. It was a challenge because I didn't know all the rules of the platforms. Specifically at the time, it was TikTok where I built everything originally. And I was trying to get the momentum back going and recreate what I had created. But I was making mistakes that I didn't know were mistakes. I was reposting videos from my old account that performed well. I was like, I'll just post this video
Sure.
again because it did well. Immediately when you do that, that account gets flagged.
Wow.
So it's like, I didn't understand. It wasn't telling you, it wasn't banning the account. It just kind of does a soft, a shadow ban type of thing where it can't reach new audience members. And so I had probably started 5 accounts just over and over again. I'm like, no traction, no traction, no traction. Because at the time I knew that one of the keys to TikTok's algorithm was your first video gets a boost.
Interesting.
So if you can nail it on your first video, you can get 10,000 followers in one video
Okay. That's
just
cool.
overnight. I don't know if it's like that anymore, but it's probably somewhat like that. So I was like, all right, first, I do a couple weeks of videos, this is going nowhere. I need to just, all right, let's scrap it, go to another, scrap it, go to another, scrap it, go to another one. And then I heard a guy on a podcast talking about how he had the same thing happen to him and how he restarted it and he built it back up. And I DM'd him on Instagram and say, hey, heard you on this podcast. This happened to me. Can you just answer some, help me at all? didn't know me at all, like just a stranger to him. And he took time to like talk to me and point out like a few things that I was doing, like I mentioned, that were causing it to like not grow again. So like at that point, I was probably 2 months into trying to restart it. And I'm in like this dark place. So I'm in this victim type mindset where I'm like, this is no fair. They took this away from me. Like I didn't do anything wrong. I thought this was going to be my life. I thought this was going to be the thing that I'm going to do and like provide for my family with this and all of that stuff. It's like, but it's no fair. And everything is happening to me.
Right.
Right.
And I find that interesting that you are describing that, because I think that's a lot of way how young men feel today, in a sense of, to me, our main purpose, at least in our minds, is to provide for our families, and to have that stripped away. If I had my ability to provide my family stripped away, I wouldn't even know what my identity was, except for my religion. I would have nothing else.
And I imagine it's hard to find people that relate exactly what you were going through at that point too, because I think that's an important thing, to find people that not only, you know, are there to listen, but can also understand firsthand what you're feeling. And I imagine that's got to be pretty tough for your specific example.
How did you stay resilient to push forward?
I just kept going, man. I don't honestly like, it's just, I had experienced so much failure up to that point. It was probably my, you know, third attempt at like a business, and the first two like crashed and burned terribly, like never went anywhere. So I had spent 7 years just like failing forward, you know, and developing and like having success, like spurts of success where it was like, oh, okay, something was there, you know, and learning sales and marketing and leadership and communication. Like it was this like slow build of skill sets and mindset and connections and relationships and all these things that were leading up to it. And I think because of like that 7 year time frame before this of like being out there and just crashing and burning over and over again, I was used to it. You know, like it sucked. I didn't like it. I didn't want to be in it. But I also still had this mindset of like, I'm going to keep searching. Like I'm going to keep moving forward because something is here. But at that time, like what ended up happening because of how these algorithms work on TikTok, on Instagram, now on YouTube with the short content, and what really TikTok did, they know you at a very deep and intimate level.
Who is they?
I don't know. Whoever's building the algorithm, like it's collecting, whether you know it or not, like it's so invasive into our phones, right? And even into other devices, honestly, like, cause that's what's in some of the agreements, right? Like it's collecting all of our information. It's collecting, you know, what we're looking at. It's collecting maybe what we're talking about.
Location,
right?
where you're going, when you're spending money. Yeah.
It's putting all that information together to figure out who is he and what videos can we send him that make him stay on our app so we can sell more ads, or what things will he buy, right?
And I want to touch on that just for a second. I do 100% agree that whoever they is, we could just call them the owners. I mean, we've seen them all come in front of Congress, right? And whether those are the people actually making the rules or not, I have no idea. They're probably just fronts. But whoever they is collecting this information that's eventually going to end up in Palantir, by the way, in the big database, they 100% know how addictive they're making this. Do we find it a bit strange that all three of us are trying to use those same algorithms to get our message out? I find that a bit interesting, but I think it's just the rules of the game today. What do you think?
Here's how I see it, right? I think about the story. I think about the story of Jesus, like when he goes out into the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights, and the devil comes to him, and he tries to get him to turn a rock into bread. He's like, if you're him, why don't you turn this into bread and eat it? And I look at that story. There's so much to take away from this story, but that specific piece, when we're talking about these social media companies and algorithms and everything, like you look at a stone at that time, like what was a stone for people at that time? That's something you build things with, Right? You build your homes with these stones. So he was trying to get him to take something that was meant for building and consume it.
That's beautiful. Are you a Christian?
Yes.
That's wonderful. I have a question for you because this kind of ties in, and I definitely want to focus on the algorithms here, but my question to try to interject here is, I read a stat recently that talked about how young men, we define young men 18 to 30 in the U.S. back in the 1990s, only 10 to 12% of them were not religious, not affiliated with any type of religion. Now, as of 2020, that's up to 40%. That's staggering to me. Do you feel that there's any correlation between that statistic and the rate of mental health, the rate of financial dependence on the parents, the rate of despair? Do you feel there's any correlation there?
Well, you think about what, outside of the spiritual connection aspect, you think about just religious communities. Like I see, it's a community, right? Like if you go to a church, your family goes to a church, that's a community of people that are there for each other, right? And there's oftentimes things set up for the elder people to teach the people coming up, right? There's marriage counseling, there's youth groups, there's, young adult groups, right? Where there's someone that is in place leading those groups that's there to help them figure out the things that they're never going to be able to figure out on their own. And I think in general, outside of church, outside of religion, outside of connection with a higher power, that is what I see that's missing.
I completely agree. And even like a step further than that, I'll tell you that I'm not the most religious person. I was raised Catholic. I did all the sacraments. I was baptized, confirmed. I'm not against religion, but I think that in our day and age, we don't have those communities anymore. Like when growing up on my parents' street, everybody knew each other. We had a block party, and it's like people don't really know their neighbors unless you are lucky enough to live in a situation where you have great neighbors. And honestly, like I am, our neighbors are awesome. Our kids play together all the time. Like we feel, and really they reached out to us when we moved in and made it easy for us. But I think that there's not a lot of community anymore. And I think that that's multifaceted. One thing is that everybody's got group chats now, and I love group chats. I love being able to touch and keep in touch with friends. But when you get that little touch of social interaction once in a while in your group chat, you're not motivated now to go and make friends with the people that live around you or to meet people who are like-minded, because you get that little bit of it when you're talking to your friends that you haven't spoken to in a couple of days. But you don't have that face-to-face community interaction anymore.
No, you don't. And what is interesting is cell phones and the internet were supposed to make us more connected. And what it's done, because I think of, because of greedy people in this world trying to get us to keep consuming content, their own content, I think it's isolated us to a degree where, that dopamine rush. And I think that I just want to touch on this just for a second, but, when you're scrolling, there's a dopamine hit with each time that you scroll. Like if you like what you see, there's a dopamine rush. So you keep scrolling until you find that next dopamine rush. And, I think that is a huge factor in regards to how people socially interact, to the point where young men feel awkward in social situations because they're more comfortable in their houses on their phones or playing video games. And I want to emphasize, I'm not faulting them. I think that this was done intentionally. I think that this was done in a way to try to manipulate young men to make them more easily controlled. And I firmly do believe that. Whoever they is, and we could talk about who we think they is, but I think that this is a symptom of the system that was put in place intentionally. What do you guys think about that?
I think it's even a product. I think that, like you said before, they want to keep your eyes on the app as long as possible. Mm-hmm. And that has kind of gone down. Either you like something and you watch it, or you're outraged and you want to watch more because you're outraged. Those are really the two things that kind of to keep people's attention when they're scrolling.
Sometimes hate watching is even more powerful than like watching.
So I think it's down to just, they've figured out what's going to keep your attention, and it's not really the best thing for you, but it's going to keep your attention.
Yeah. And I think you can even see that going all the way back to young children, with their screen time and their shows. I've read articles about how for children's shows, for example, like Bluey, they intentionally make the colors a certain way to entrance the toddler, or the school age child or the preschool age child to just watch it for hours and not want to take their eyes off the screen.
I think we're going to see a lot with screen time in kids as we get older. I'm not trashing anybody because, my kids watch a little bit once in a while, and
Mine does too.
it is what it is.
Yes.
But I do think that it has a lot of, not only in like development, but, anxiety, and kids don't know how to be bored. And some of my most fun times was being bored. Like, I remember stupid things we used to do when we were kids. For those people that don't know, we've known each other for like 25 years. We threw a G.I. Joe out your window with a plastic bag on it, trying to use it as a parachute, but
It didn't work.
did not work. No.
I lost that G.I. Joe. We had a funeral that day.
Yeah.
But
But if you notice like I know everybody's kind of fighting their own battles, but what kind of men are reaching out and joining your group? I mean, more often than not.
It's been all different ages, all different backgrounds, all over the world. I would say the guys that I work with most closely are typically guys who have experienced a rather large loss in life.
What type of loss?
It can vary. Death is a common one. Divorce is a very, very common one. Divorce, separation, breakup. One of the hardest things for people to do in general is how to navigate and overcome loss in life.
Sure.
Especially when it's something like you mentioned earlier. It's like, if I lost that, who am I?
Right.
Right? If we put our whole identity into this person, this relationship, this career, this thing, it can go away. It will go away at one point.
And I think it's important, and you mentioned Jesus earlier. I think that it's important to realize that if you put God first, that could be your identity, and you can lean in on that, and you can rely on Him on that, especially in the tough times. And I think it's for that exact reason, is because if somebody passes away suddenly, or you lose your job and that was your identity, then you don't know what to do. You don't know how to function. You don't know how to wake up the next day. And I think that's an important part of the Bible that was established in Genesis 2 right off the bat. And also established in Genesis 2 was the family unit, where they talk about how, obviously the good Lord's first, but then man and woman together, making a family with children. And I think that's all really, really important in developing for young men in terms of their confidence to whatever we define as success. And I think when I say we, I mean us as individuals. I think we can all define success differently, but that could potentially give you the confidence to define what your own success looks like, what you want your life to look like.
Well, and I think even, and this is kind of what you provide, but when you're going through something like loss or, losing your job, you need community. You need people just to be there. Not even necessarily, you don't need people to bring you things and do stuff with you, but you just need people to be with you while you're going through these hard parts of life. And, I think that's kind of your community you've built kind of speaks for that these are all people kind of searching for that. And it's kind of beautiful and ironic that they could be there for each other, on top of kind of you providing some guidance as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny because it's like all online, right? It's all on the internet now, and all of us are connected. Most never met each other, right? But have these like deep bonds and connections, and like have helped each other through these moments in life that like create an attachment, create a connection that is sometimes more powerful than anyone that they have in their actual life. And a lot of guys, to be honest with you, have no one. Like they literally no one.
Why do you think that is?
It's hard. It's very difficult for certain people in different backgrounds, different lifestyles, different upbringings, right? Like we're all blessed to have what we have.
No doubt about that.
Right? Like you got family right now upstairs. You got great family. I've got family and friends and people that have always been there. not everybody has that stuff, right? Some people, their family is more of a detriment to their life than it's ever been a blessing. So they can't count on them. They can't even trust them in general, let alone count on them to hold them up when times are difficult. And then when you put on top of that, like now I've got this person that I loved and I was planning on spending the rest of my life with, they just betrayed me.
That's got to be horrific. And just to throw one stat out there, in 1960, 87% of males, young boys growing up through high school, lived with two parents. As of 2010, that's down to 66%. So it's fallen 21% in that 50-year time span. And I think that's just going to show that not that single parenting, you can't raise a great young person or a great young man or a great young woman. I'm just saying it's a heck of a lot easier for two parents to operate and raise somebody successfully than it is one. And I think that certainly is contributing to what we're talking about right now. I thought that was very interesting.
Definitely.
Well, it's difficult. Like you guys have been with your kids alone, right?
Oh my gosh.
It's only a matter of time before you're getting super frustrated.
Yeah.
And like things go wrong, things are happening, and we're not perfect, right? We have a certain amount of capacity for like, oh, okay, being calm and holding it together, right? So it's not that like, a single mom or a single dad, because there's all kinds of studies and stats on that stuff. It's just, it's way better when you've got a team.
For sure.
This is a team sport. And when you're playing, like it's like playing tennis doubles, but they got two and you got one.
Absolutely. And I mean, even when you're a parent with a partner, there are some parts of your life you have to neglect to be a good dad, like to be a good mom. You have to decide what's more important here. And that's the way life goes. But when you're by yourself, there's a lot more that has to get neglected for you to be a good mom or dad, or you end up sacrificing being a good mom or dad. And that's not, I'm not faulting people for that, but there's only so much time in the day. There's only, so much you can do as one person pulled in so many directions. And I can't imagine how hard it is by yourself. Cause I'm, like you said, I'm blessed. I love my wife. She's incredible. I couldn't imagine life without her. And I couldn't imagine raising my two kids without not just her help, but her influence. Like, I trust her. I'm lucky.
Yeah, me too. I'm the luckiest guy in the world when it comes to that. I can't imagine trying to have my 2-month-old trying to feed them a bottle while my 20-month-old is like running around and like trying to hurt himself. Like I don't even know how that even works, but I know there are people out there that do it, and that's amazing.
And
it's amazing.
Back to what you were talking about with so a lot of men don't have anybody. If you live long enough, no matter what, life is going to throw you some stuff that you're not ready for. And that looks different for a lot of different people. I lost my dad when I was 28, and that's, I was a grown man when that happened, but I still felt like I wasn't ready for that to happen. Looking back on it now, I'm like, hey, I got 28 years with him. I'm lucky. I had a good dad. But then I look at all my other friends that I got a couple buddies that lost their dad young, and I can't even wrap my brain around how difficult that was on them, their mom, their family. I have a different perspective now. But when you hit these road bumps in life that you're like, I'm totally not ready for this. If you don't have anybody there with you, it is exponentially more difficult. And no matter what, it's going to be hard. But having support of friends and family is, priceless during those moments.
I think regardless, one of the things that's difficult is that regardless of having friends and family, having support, do you know how to even process a loss like that? Do you know how to go through grief and get to a place of acceptance and then get to a place of understanding and truly, genuinely finding the reason why this was a good thing for you in your future? Finding the value there. And when it comes to death, how am I going to honor this person that I loved and carry their life forward as a part of me, right? Anybody get taught that as a child?
No.
Where was that class at?
No, you don't.
There's
you don't.
no class for that.
But we deal with loss every single day.
Yeah.
Everyone is dealing with loss every single day. The person that cuts you off and makes you a little bit later do your thing, right? You open the fridge and you're like, God damn it, there's no turkey meat left. Like,
Right.
you know, my favorite drink's gone. Like, it's whether it's a little thing or like spilling the coffee, it's like we're all going through this process, whether we realize it or not. And some people have these things like the death of a parent, like the loss of a relationship, a divorce. They never properly grieve them. They stay in that state, like we were talking earlier, of this is something that happened to me. And it is the reason that I will never be able to have this, to do this. And when you're in that state, can you ever be successful?
I don't know if you can.
You can't. You don't believe that you can. Like literally in your belief system, I'm not allowed to be successful because that thing happened to me. And in this world of like social media and everyone talks about like their traumas, it's like a gold star. They wear these things around like this is my trauma and this is all these bad things that have happened to me. And that's great. Openly talk about your stuff. That's really, really helpful. But don't use it as the thing and the reason as to why you can't live your life, why you can't. This is why I need special treatment. This is why I haven't been able to do those things. It's like, no, everybody has these things. And yes, maybe your things are way worse than other people's, but everybody is going to experience these things at different levels. And if you can't process it correctly, it's like you get stuck on the mountain right there. Only you're not stuck. You're actually just gradually sliding back down it further and further until you end up in the pit.
I think a hard truth for people to wrap their mind around is like, it's not your fault that whatever has happened. It's not your fault that it happened to you, but it's your responsibility on how you handle it and how you come out the other side. You know, we're all adults, we're all grown men, and things happen to everybody. And I'm not making light of, like you said, your situation could be totally different than my situation, but it's still your responsibility to deal with it the right way to be able to come out the other side.
And how did you get out of that mindset when, you know, your first platform that you had 100K views got taken away from you? What are some of the things that you did?
Well, the first thing, like I mentioned, I reached out for help. You know, I kept searching for the answer. Right? I knew there were answers out there. I just had to find the right person. I had to find the right podcast. I had to find the right YouTube video, right? It's like something breaks in your house. It's like, all right, I just have to find the YouTube video that shows me how to fix this now, right? It's no different than our lives now. Like YouTube has like all of this incredible information about all kinds of stuff. So I knew if I just kept searching, I would find something. And then I did. And I had that conversation and he gave me one piece of information, just one sentence that put me back on the right path. But because of where my state of mind was, we're talking about the algorithms, how they know you so intimately, I was getting sent really dark, depressing content that was relating with my current headspace.
That is a fascinating point I've never even thought about, because if you think about it, then, you know, your algorithms can perpetuate your mental health problem.
Absolutely.
I didn't even think about that. That's horrifying. That's really scary.
Yeah, it validates your victim state because there's like a corner of the internet on these platforms that I found where it's nothing but that. It's super dark, depressed. It can be poetry. It can be like people sharing their experiences. It can be like memes, quotes, but it's all like, damn, that's dark. Like that's really sad. Like this really deep in a kind of terrible way. And these videos that I was like being sent and I'm like seeing them have millions of views.
Wow.
Millions upon millions of views, just over and over again. I was stumbling upon them. And I didn't realize what I was seeing at that time. Like I didn't, like the way I'm talking about it now, I didn't realize that. It just happened. I was like, oh, okay, that's a video. It did really well. And how I learned to make a lot of the short form content was find videos that are doing well already and make something like that because they work. So I was like, all right, I'm going to make a video like this. And I made one video. It's called Signs a Man Are Broken on a new account. And within a week, I had 500,000 followers.
That's insane, man.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. But it was very much like that whole journey. It was very much like this roadblock that came into play. And it's like every obstacle that we come into contact with, there's an equal or greater reward on the other side of it if we can figure out how to get over it. And that was my reward. It was sitting there waiting for me the whole time. I just had to make it through, because now I don't have 100,000 followers in this business about teaching people about entrepreneurship and business and sales and marketing and self-development. Now I have 500,000 guys that are all hurting, that potentially want to take their own lives, that are going through the worst moments of their lives, and they're asking me for help.
That's a huge responsibility.
I had no idea what to do.
Yeah.
I didn't have a product for that.
Right, yeah.
I'm not a therapist.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't go to school for any of this. I have no experience at all with this. So in the beginning, it was like, let's create this Discord and just have them come hang out. Like, we'll just hang out and talk. Like, we'll just share stories. We'll give them a stage to come and just get things off your chest. We're not here to give advice. We're not here to provide mentorship. We're just here. And them understanding and having this realization of like, oh, I'm not alone. Like, I'm not alone. All of these guys are going through, that guy's going through something worse than me. Right? It gives them like a perspective and a sense of belonging. That alone, I think, saves so many guys' lives.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't even, the fact that your following exploded on one video just about the pain that guys are going through, and so many people could relate to that, is, I think, very telling.
Do we think that the young male discourse and pain that they're going through and mental health troubles, are they worse now compared to before? I know the stats say yes, absolutely, but there's always been this macho man kind of attitude where you don't admit that to anybody. So do you think that people just weren't admitting it back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and they were suffering just as much? Or do you think truly things are worse now?
I tend to go along with the belief that things have always been kind of how they are. I tend to believe that. Like, when I look at things, I'm like, we're all people. We've been people for a really long time. And we've always had these same types of problems.
Yeah.
It's just wrapped up in a different box now. But I do also see this aspect of like, this is like introducing a drug to people that didn't exist before.
Yes.
Right? Like,
yes.
Like, that is what has happened. And nobody knows how to put boundaries on it yet. There's no rules or regulations. And it's like a weird thing, because how do you put rules and regulations on something like this? That's information, where now it's like, okay, are we censoring things, or how do you navigate
specifically this? Just to clarify, you're talking about social media and cell phones, correct?
Correct.
Yes. And I think that's a huge concern. And I do agree that the amount, and studies are showing that the amount of dopamine that scrolling releases is not equivalent to things like cocaine. It's not equivalent to things like mushrooms, but it is equivalent to some forms of chemicals. It is equivalent to a certain amount of alcohol. It is equivalent to a certain amount of caffeine. And of course, people are addicted to those things as well. So why would they not be addicted to something like this? And then for you to take a step back and not even understand that you're addicted to it, and you just keep perpetuating the habit, it's got to be really difficult. If you don't have somebody there to teach you that these things are happening, how would you even know that it's a problem?
Right.
But, and like, when you said there's no laws and regulations, like, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole here with the Charlie Kirk thing that happened, but everybody saw that happen 20 minutes after it happened.
Everybody.
Over and over and over again.
Yep.
Even if you didn't want to, you get on Instagram, Twitter, whatever you're on, and it's in your face. And it was a really weird time.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
no matter how you feel about them, and some people are probably going to hate on this, I don't think political violence is a good thing regardless. But seeing people celebrate this thing that happened,
It was disgusting.
and you couldn't even get on Facebook without seeing the video, it was a really weird time to watch the whole country, the whole world watch that happen and react to it over and over again.
What is concerning to me is that whoever they is, once again, they forced all of the platforms to show that video continuously, essentially, right? For a span of like 30 minutes, and then they all took it down and act like that they didn't do it on purpose.
People kept
right?
posting it. That was
Right.
the thing too, but still.
But what is even more interesting to me is that they made sure everybody saw what happened, and then we still have no idea what actually happened. We will never know, probably, what actually happened, right?
I mean, if we can talk about this a little more, I don't know how you can assemble and disassemble a gun
Especially
that fast.
with your adrenaline rushing through your fingers and a
Wear gloves,
19-year-old.
but you left a screwdriver up on the roof. Like,
What is, and just, I don't want to get sidetracked, but just a quick question for us three at this table. What is more absurd, the official story on Thomas Crooks or the official story on the Charlie Kirk assassination? They're both completely absurd. None of it makes any sense, but yet we all saw it pretty much within the first 20 minutes that it happened, and then we found out nothing.
it just made me feel so gross to watch
Yes.
everybody react to it the way that
With
they did.
pleasure. Not everybody reacted
mean-
with pleasure. There were some people that were, most people were very, very sad, but the few ones that were vocally cheering.
I'm the opposite of a Charlie Kirk fan. I don't think he was good for people. But I'm not going to celebrate him getting murdered in front of his wife, and his kids are going to see that. I don't know. It made me feel queasy.
It made me feel a little bit like it was a symbol of how a lot of people are treating young men's mental health right now, to be honest with you, because Charlie Kirk was a young man. I believe he was 28 or 29. I don't know that for sure. And he was in the public spotlight, and it was almost, the whole country was laughing at, oh, we took away this guy's dream after he made it. And that's kind of the way I feel like young men are being treated when they're coming up through the ranks today. I feel like that they're not taken seriously. They're always belittled. And I feel like that's intentional.
We love to see people fall.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing our society loves more than to see people fall. Like you watch, that's a perfect example of it. Like that is an epic, like downfall of somebody, and all the vultures come out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You make a video about Charlie Kirk, guaranteed you probably get 1 million views. If you have any type of following, you're going to get 1 million views.
We might get censored, though, too. Just a heads up.
Yes, of course. I had like a video that got censored during that time.
I think our vaccine video is getting censored, but that's
Good.
just my
Yeah,
opinion.
it happens.
Yeah, it does.
Welcome to the game. You'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But it's what I really don't like about the whole culture around, like with the cancel culture and like celebrating people's downfalls. I think whatever side you're on, it's not a good side.
No. If
It's
you're
like you are leveraging this downfall to gain clout for yourself.
Right.
In one way, you're a vulture. Like that's vulture behavior. You're feasting on the dead. And you're either celebrating it or you're eating in some way. Right? So it's difficult. Like for me, it was very difficult. Like I made like one video and I tried to make it, and I don't like what you guys are talking about. I know nothing about anything anymore. Because of how much time I spend on those apps.
I can't tell what's true and what's not true anymore. I have no clue.
Well, I don't, that's very true. Like that's a whole nother thing that's happening now. Like being able to discern what is true and what is not. But I can't even watch videos on the apps anymore. Like I have to be in this bubble. I don't know what's going on in the news. I don't know like what information has been found about any of the murders or anything that's going on, because it's so bad for my mental. It is either like it's sparking an emotion in me. Like when I came to the realization of, probably during like not this election but the election cycle before, it was so emotionally taxing, right? Like following this and like, yeah, this is happening. Yeah, tell them, show them. It was so taxing, and I realized that these things, these people, these, you know, mainstream media networks, these social media influencers, all of that stuff, they have the ability to control me. They have the ability to literally control my emotions. I was like, that's not good.
No,
That's like,
that's awful.
demonic.
And-
like you're possessing me with something.
And I'm guilty of that. I'll be the first one to admit that. You know, I am guilty, and I'm working on that, and that's something I need to work on. I'm guilty of that. Just to clarify, were you speaking of the 2024 election? You're talking about the 2020 election?
Yeah, I learned my lesson then.
Yeah, I didn't learn my lesson in 2020. I was all in on 2024 for sure, which was a wild ride, by the way. I can't tell you how wild of a ride it was.
Sure
it was
was.
insane. I want to go back to what you were touching on before, when you were we were talking about how, you know, there were some that were celebrating the downfall of a certain individual. I saw a video that you recently posted, and you know, you asked the question, "Is this child abuse?" And just to clarify exactly what we were, you know, what you were discussing, it was a mom inside of two sons, and I, you know, if I had to guess their ages, they were like 3 or 5, and she was essentially having them recite what she had taught them, and what she had taught them was that all men, you know, are responsible for starting the wars. All men that are in political power are corrupt, and they're the reason why women don't get a fair shake in the world, and they're the reason why you know, men should be put down, essentially. And that was the gist of the story. I find it interesting that the same people that say those types of things are the same ones that were celebrating the downfall of Charlie Kirk. And I don't know why there's a large faction of that in our country today, but I do think it's having a significant negative impact on the male mental health, and it makes me very sad. And I don't know what we can do about it, but it's very hard to watch.
Yeah, the only thing that can be done about that, honestly, is providing mentorship and guidance for the men that are coming up. Like, we, men and women, I think we can all agree, the more good men we have, the better off all of us are.
Right.
And good women as well.
Yes.
Like, the more good
Yes.
people that we can create. And when you look at someone like that mom, why does someone have that type of perspective? She has been deeply hurt by a man or men in her life. Those are wounds that she is passing on to her boys. She legitimately has a disdain for men.
But a part of this, you know, sometimes we get a lot of hate when we talk about the male loneliness epidemic. You know, other groups are saying, well, they deserve it, or it's
Tough
about
it
time
out.
something happened
Yeah.
to white men. And like, I don't think that's appropriate. And when you constantly tell somebody they're the enemy, you're going to build an enemy, whether you want to or not. And rather than come together, which is something that I want to do a lot on this podcast, is find the parts in the middle that we agree on and build platforms around those. We did the Mamdani episode, and there's a lot that we both agree on that he talks about.
I would say we agreed on 85%.
And I think highlighting and focusing on what we do agree on, rather than focusing on the parts that divide us violently, is where we need to go.
And just to touch on that on one point, and we've touched about this before, whoever the establishment is, it's the same in both parties. You know, if you got establishment on the left and establishment on the right, it's the same people. They want us to argue and bicker. We need to come together for each other.
Yeah.
Because if we don't, they're just going to keep making money off of us and doing whatever they want, and we're going to be stuck arguing with poor mental health and disliking each other.
Arguing over immigration policy
nothing.
and trans kids in sports, and even though we live in Northeast Ohio, we're
Gay
not
marriage.
we're not focusing on the things that are affecting quality of life here. Not that those aren't important issues, because I don't want to downplay them.
No, those are important issues, but I would say, one of the things that was on the docket for us today was talking about how there's a 30% decline in male testosterone levels going back to 1990. One of the important things would be talk about how male mental health has, in rates of anxiety and depression have increased by 80% since 1990. Or the fact that, like I said before, now 40% of males 18 to 30 don't affiliate with any type of religion whatsoever, and that's up from 10%. Those things are much more important than just social issues. I think we can all agree that, hey, you're allowed to be who you are. We're going to support who you want to be. As long as you don't impose those views on a different person, I think everything's totally fine. And the fact that we just can't have that 30-second conversation and move on to the important things, I think is very strange, and I can't grasp why that is.
A lot of people are not very good at thinking.
Yeah. Well,
Thinking is hard. So what people do instead, they judge.
Wow.
Thinking is hard.
That's profound.
When you're emotional.
I didn't create it. It was some philosopher.
Somebody. That's profound, but that's also biblical too, because we're taught that we are not supposed to judge, and I'm guilty of this all the time. We're not supposed to judge at all. There's only one judge and ruler, and it ain't anybody that lives on this earth, currently, that is. And I find that very interesting, because that is profound. We do need to think more. We need to think more clearly, for sure.
It's hard, though.
Yeah, for sure.
It's hard to discover the truth and be objective about things that are emotionally triggering to us.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gone down, I'm sure we all have, scrolling on Instagram or whatever platform you're on, and I get in a dark hole where maybe I'm feeling, I'm having a down day, I'm feeling crappy, and then I maybe watch a video that identifies with that. And like you said, then I'm sucked into this black hole of more and more, and I spiral the more I watch, and I feel terrible. And it's done nothing but make me feel terrible, and that's going to make my decisions worse. That's going to make the way that I treat the people that I care about worse. And it's really because I'm emotionally fired up. Maybe I was feeling down, but this has amplified it to a level that is really, unnecessary.
And I want to take, so what you're talking about, what we referenced before, I want to take a different look at things too that I think also are bad for young men on cell phones is pornography. Growing up, it used to be really, really hard for us to find pornography. I don't want to say really hard. That's an exaggeration. But I would say, the generation that grew up 10 years before us, it was probably really hard.
We had to sneak it on the family computer.
We had to sneak it on the family computer.
It was a whole operation. You
had to do it in the middle of the night. You had to make sure your parents were asleep.
Headphones on.
Headphones, and then you had to...
if that headphone jack falls out, that
in
was
big
the
trouble.
worst moment of my life.
Now, you got your cell phone.
Yeah.
And, you don't even risk getting a virus usually, we had to worry about the family computer getting shut down from a virus, and then the person comes over to check the computer, and your mom's standing right there, and the computer guy's like, well, ma'am, this is why the virus was here.
And then you go into all these websites.
Yes. But in all seriousness, though, that dopamine rush that we get from the levels of pornography that are available to young men and young women, I think is frightening. They're exposed on social media. I think I read a stat that young females, for a second, 'cause you're getting off track from males, are exposed to unwanted pornography. I don't want to say pornography, but unwanted nudity multiple times a week once they're age 13. That's unacceptable.
And these platforms aren't doing anything about it.
Zero.
They're not doing anything to combat this.
It's part of it is it's really difficult for them to do it too, because the people that are doing it, they're very creative. They're like a hacker.
Sure.
They're like, all right, how do we get around the things to get our stuff to these people? Because they know the younger we get these boys addicted to this, I shouldn't call it an addiction, but like, the younger we get them invested on
It's
this.
a huge addiction. Pornography is a huge addiction.
Here's
you could be addicted to sex 100%.
Well, listen, here's how I view this, because in the world that I operate, when it comes to addiction, it's like, all right, if you don't watch porn today, your organs aren't going to shut down. You're not going to be like going through withdrawal. You can go about your day. So like, yes, is it, a type of bad habit that you're like stuck in and like kind of addicted to? It's not like you're an alcoholic. It's not like you're overcoming heroin. It's not like that level. Because when we place like that on it, it puts it in that category. And then people are like, well, this is unbeatable.
It's not my fault.
It's a tricky game to play. I do believe, because I was in it, like I had to overcome that. I'm, years into my marriage, and I have to like have a conversation with my wife and figure out how to overcome this thing and leave it behind, because I know it's not good for our relationship. I know it's not good for me and my mental health. But it's like most people, I think the beginning problem is like most people don't see it as a problem, especially in the beginning, right? When we were young, it's just like sharing videos with each other, like looking at some titties. Like that's what young boys do.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
There's no doubt.
And really, to an extent, it's like, who is he harming? Like, is it really that bad? Just like any of these things done in moderation, like, is it destroying their life? Is it really that terrible? I don't know. Everybody can make their own, calls with that. But you go from the stage of like, this isn't a problem at all. So you're just doing it, and you're doing it more, and then you're doing it every day, and then you're doing it multiple times a day. And then you're getting into a relationship and you're like, what do I do now? Right? Because she's not going to care for this, right? This isn't going to be really cool. So now I'm hiding something from the person that I'm supposed to be building a companionship with, a relationship with. And because of that, like, that's where I see the big problem with this. In relationships, it's not that the thing itself is a bad thing. It's that you have to hide something from them, and you build this wall between them and the intimacy that you could truly have. And then when it finally comes out, it's like, oh, can I trust him? Because if you can't, the only thing that matters in a relationship, everything else can go away. If you lose trust, everything's, you have great communication. You can have great sex. You can have, great parenting style. But if you don't trust what they're saying, if you don't trust who they're having sex with, if you don't trust what they're doing with your kids, none of that matters. So as soon as that is breached, or if one person is incapable of giving that to the other, because it's not something you earn, by the way. I think this is a big problem that people get into with like therapy and counseling. Like, well, you have to earn his trust back. You have to earn her trust back. Okay, so now we're in this game that like, what's that?
Turns it into like a mother.
Yeah.
It turns into a parent-child relationship.
Yeah.
And it's built, how do we build trust with each other? Well, we built trust because we've been really good friends for 15 years. We built trust because we've been really good friends for 15 years. I completely agree. It just takes time.
And you don't have to be perfect. I mean, we've
No.
all made mistakes, but then you're still there saying, hey, I made a mistake. Again, accountability. Like you have to own it. I made a mistake. I messed up, and I want to be honest with you because trust is important to me.
Right. But if the other person is unable to trust you again, you have nothing. You don't have a relationship anymore. And so many people are in this position where they're leveraging their betrayal to just punish them over and over and over, and they have no ability to trust them again. They're not healing themselves. He's the problem. She's the problem. They have to change, and now you have to do whatever I say, and once you do that, then I'll give this back to you. Does that sound like a healthy relationship to you?
No,
Does that
of
sound
course
like
not.
a strategy for healing and bringing people together?
Of course not. Of course not. And I 100% agree. The one thing that I find a little bit I disagree with you in terms of the pornography stance.
Yeah.
For me, I think that young men, unfortunately, are not knowing how to become intimate. I think that's a huge problem. What do I mean by that? When you watch pornography over and over again, we used to call that voyeurism. You used to take your binoculars, you used to look, out the window. We've seen all the movies and all that, that funny stuff. But that's completely different than having an intimate relationship with your significant other. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of young men intertwine the two, and they're making their relationships, unfortunately, more transactional and more lustful at times. And that's just my opinion on the situation.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with that 100%. I have no doubt, without a shadow in my mind, like, I viewed women as objects at one point in my life. Like, they were kind of my friend, but like there wasn't this, I wasn't trusting her with information.
Right,
like I'm not letting you in like I'm hanging with the boys, or I'm like opening up to things, because I've seen what happens when I do that. Like you open up, you're vulnerable with someone and they weaponize it against you. Yeah. Every man that I've ever had come in the group that I've ever talked to has had that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I think we've all had an experience or two with that particular thing. And I think, like you said, it's something that resonates with men just universally.
Why does it resonate with us so much?
That's a great question.
I don't have any good thoughts, unfortunately. What do you think?
I think it's because we have such a high, like, this sense of like honor inside of us as a piece of it, right? Like a good man is an honorable man.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And when we feel like a betrayal, it just wounds us so much more, because all of us are kind of at different points of our lives a lot of times, like desperately searching for a connection.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's to a woman and getting that relationship going, or figuring out who we have to be to have friends, right? Like all young boys are going through that. Like, who do I have to be to get friends? That's messed up.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what mask do I have to wear? What music do I have to like? What sport do I have to play? What thing do I have to be into? What opinions do I have to align with to have friends?
And it's hard because a lot of their dads, guys our age, we haven't made a friend in a long time. So having our sons learn how to make friends from us isn't working, because most of us have the friends that we had 20 years ago. And I'm very thankful to have my friends that I had 20 years ago. But I mean, it is hard to make a new friend. It feels weird. It feels awkward to like cross that boundary with somebody. And, unless you have a shared interest, you play softball or basketball together and you see them someplace like that, it's very difficult to make a friend. And I think that we've kind of lost that ability as social media and really just staying in contact on,
Well, I think it's because when you try to make a friend, you have to build that trust, like we were talking about before, right? And now what we're seeing is that, we want to interact with something for 5 seconds and then move on. And part of that is the apps that we were talking about. And it's hard to make friends doing that. And I completely agree. I don't think I've made a true close friend that I hang out with outside of work and, since medical school, which is 10 years ago. I mean, that's just the honest to God's truth. And for better or for worse, I don't really plan on it, because, I mean, how do you do that? You're just so busy. But
Well, the harsh reality of it is, to make new friends, you have to lose old friends.
right.
There's only so much
time.
space.
Yeah.
There's only so much time and space. So like, like that's how it goes.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So what do you think like young men need to be doing to kind of help themselves become better with this?
I think they have to find community and mentorship. Like, I think it's such a huge piece that's missing for all. They're all searching for it, right? Like, that's why they're growing up watching Andrew Tate and Gary Vee and whoever it is today, me even. Like, they're searching for a man to tell them how to get results in their life that they desire. Because nobody's giving that to them or for them. They're not getting that from their father. Maybe they don't even have a father. But if they do, he's not providing that for him. Or maybe his dad doesn't have the results that he desires. So how can he trust the guidance that he's giving him? And there's another harsh reality that we all have to face, is that to be successful in life, to get what you want, the minority does that. That's how this system is built. Whoever created this, whatever is going on, that's how it works in everything.
Mm-hmm.
So how many people are going to have successful marriages?
Well, it's down to less than 50% now.
Oh, if we're saying successful is being together, I think we need to redefine it.
Well, that's a
right?
great
That's
point.
fair.
That's
All right,
totally fair.
50% stay. How many of them are happy?
Right.
I would say probably around, if we're lucky, 10%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awful.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
It's also
that's-
terrifying to think about. I couldn't imagine not having a rock solid marriage.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how the amount of mental stress you'd have in a day would be horrifying.
Yeah.
It's hard enough when it's good.
Yeah.
It is. Yes, it's hard enough when it's good.
You got to pick your hard too. That's another thing, is that it's hard to go to the gym all the time. It's hard to
Be
be out of
obese.
shape and feel like crap.
Yeah.
You have to pick your hard. It's the same thing with relationships. Being married is hard. Being divorced is hard. It's not always that black and white, but you have to pick your hard. What matters to you enough that you're going to overcome what's hard.
Well, JR, thank you so much for coming on with us. This was an absolute pleasure, seriously, to have you on. I really enjoyed this conversation. I hope that this conversation finds young men out there, and I hope it helps them in some way, or helps anybody in some way. But truly, as we geared up for this episode, I studied some of your content. I just can't tell you with how impressed I am and how proud of you I am as being a friend from back in college. I mean, I can easily say that you are one of the most successful people I've ever had the pleasure to know. So congratulations, and keep fighting the good fight. Young men need guidance, and I'm really happy to hear that they're following a good Christian father that is doing all the right things.
Thanks, guys.
This was
You're
really,
welcome.
really cool. Thank you for coming on, man. This was awesome.
And then with that, episode 10 coming out soon, in 2 weeks, we're going to be talking with somebody from the astrophysics department at Case Western, how human physiology changes in space, how long it takes to get from Earth to Mars, and how likely is it that we can actually colonize Mars one day from a human physiology standpoint. And we're super excited to get into that. That's with Dr. Stephen O'Neill.
I am wildly underqualified to have that conversation, but
I'm
I
just
can't
gonna-
wait to hear everything he has to
I'm just
say.
going to be sitting here and listening.
Yeah.
I'm just going to get my popcorn ready. Well, with that, thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
I'm Dr. Joseph Miladore. This is Guardia Di Medicina. We are the guardians of medicine. My goal is to expose corruption, amplify the signal of love, and honor the sacred. This content is brought to you by Youngstown Guardia LLC. All rights reserved. Any reproduction, redistribution, or unauthorized use of this material without written consent is strictly prohibited.
I'm Anthony Fossaceca, PharmD. My mission is to uncover the realities of medicine and bring about discussion of the important issues that are currently flying under the radar. In a time where people are so divided, I want to find common ground and identify true problems rather than being distracted by emotional divides.